So many cooks in the kitchen, so many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dilip Barman. I'm in Durham, North Carolina. I'm a Food for Life instructor. Food for Life is a nutrition education program of the Physicians Committee. We're a group of around 300 instructors in much of the United States and a number of other countries, Canada, the United Kingdom, Italy, Abu Dhabi, Australia. And a subset of us, about 30 of us, are also cooks in the kitchen. And what we do is, ever since the pandemic began, is we host these monthly shows. We love highlighting whole food plant-based eating with limited fat. And we've been doing these shows every month. We also have kids shows, and we'll talk about them in a moment. Today, we're on for about 15 minutes to talk about our upcoming show, which is this Saturday. And with me, I have two friends. First, Angelita Hughes. So Angelita joins us from South Carolina. Hello, Angelita.
Hey, how are you this afternoon?
Great. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Can't wait to hear more about what you're making. Let's bring our third friend in, and then we'll talk about what we're all making. So we're working this weekend. Karen is part of the show as well. So Karen Osborne in Austin, Texas. I love Austin. How are you doing, Karen?
Hey, Dilip, Angelita. I'm doing well. It's finally sunny here. So yeah, I'm ready for some summer foods. Excellent. Yeah, summer's around the corner. It turns out it just became rainy here. So maybe if you had rain, you sent it our way, perhaps. So, and by the way, we're only on for 15 minutes, but if you're watching live, feel free to ask any questions and we'll try to answer them. So Karen, you're one of the ones, along with me, who's been in every single of the shows. We've been doing this since last May, and last month we celebrated, it was just a few weeks ago, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary. So you were with us from the very beginning, weren't you, Karen? Yes, I was. And that was like one of the highlights of 2020. I'm just so glad you put this together, and it's been great working with all of these great chefs and the Physicians Committee. And I sure, when 2020 first started, it was kind of like, it's just getting into the live classes and having so much fun. And I was like kind of depressed, not knowing how I was going to do that anymore. And this just really brightened the year. Absolutely. It feels like I've made so many friends that I've never met. I've never met you, Karen, and I've never met you either, Angelita. Angelita, tell us about your story.
How I became a Food for Life instructor?
Yeah.
What got me started on this journey was my mom, actually. She passed from diabetes complications, and just watching her life and seeing her suffer was very hard on me, and I was following the same footsteps. So my husband and I were watching TV one day, and then we saw a documentary called What the Health, and that just started everything. And then somehow I saw that PCRM was having a conference in Washington, D.C. So I booked a flight, I got my tickets, and I attended the conference. And there I found out about Food for Life instructors. I signed up and I did everything they asked me to. And here I am a little over a year later, and it has been the best thing. I've helped a lot of people, especially in the Latin community, which obesity and diabetes and heart disease and all that just plagues us because of the way that we eat, because I was one of them. And I just don't want anybody to have to see their parents suffer or have their children watch them suffer because of what they're eating. And the only regret I have is I wish I would have done this a long time ago.
And so for our audience, we should spend a few minutes talking about what is Physicians Committee, PCRM. So Karen, can you talk about your journey to becoming an instructor, and what is Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine?
Yeah, well, the Physicians Committee is a nonprofit, and we promote preventive medicine with a focus on nutrition. So, and clinical research. So everything is, the classes are a lot of fun, but you get all the information about why we're recommending what we're recommending, and recipes and cooking demos. A lot of times you can read a recipe or read books and stuff, and it seems a lot more complicated than it really is. Once you see somebody make something, you go, oh, I can do that. And we do like to show how easy and delicious it can be to eat healthy, plant-based. And my journey started over 30 years ago. Actually, from the time I was like 6 years old, I had antibiotics about 6 times a year. I would, not get anything major. It was just like strep or sinus infections or something like that. But then when I had my first child, like almost 33 years ago, they actually had me sign they wanted to do like all these tests for lupus and leukemia and stuff like that. And I had just had my baby, and I was like, no, I don't think so. And I signed myself out of the hospital saying that I was responsible for myself if I died on the way home. And I just went home, and I never, I was like, there's got to be some different way to handle things than that. And I went to, actually, when my kids were pretty young, I did get another sinus infection that lasted like through 5 different rounds of antibiotics, different kinds of antibiotics. And I went to a nutritionist and just made a few simple changes. I already ate pretty healthy. Just took a few things out of my diet and learned some substitutions. And that was like over 26 years ago, and I have not had antibiotics since. I haven't been sick. I know how to get rid of stuff. And so then I started studying. I've just been studying, and then I was following Neil Barnard. And when I learned about PCRM, that just really appealed to me. It just, fit in with what I was doing. I did go to a couple of different culinary schools, and so I am plant-based chef, and I just wanted, this is even more helpful in getting the word out.
And this is why one of the things I love about being a Food for Life instructor, first of all, PCRM is an amazing organization. We're strongly evidence-based, and we offer these wonderful classes called Food for Life. FFLclasses.org lists the classes we offer. And as I said, it's strictly evidence-based. And it turns out the evidence shows that if you're trying to stay healthy, the best thing to do is to be plant-based. If you are dabbling with pre-diabetes, you have diabetes, then a plant-based diet is the best thing you can do. And often you can actually check your diabetes and maybe reverse it, treat it. If you have certain forms of cancer, if you have blood pressure, there's so many different situations that some of us end up in. And often we find that Physicians Committee is right on the mark with excellent evidence. And we're not the only ones. There's many other authors and organizations, American College of Lifestyle Medicine, authors like Brenda Davis, and of course Neil Barnard and John McDougall, and many, many, many others. So we feel like it's great that we can do what we can to get the word out. And of course, it's one thing to say that I want to be plant-based, but what do I do in the kitchen? And that's where people like Angelita, Karen, and myself come in, where we can help show you things to do. And speaking of which, let's jump into the kitchen then. So this Saturday is our next show, and the show title is So Many Summer Soups and Salads. And I'll start. So we don't usually think about soups when you think about summer. Now, we're in the Northern Hemisphere. We have viewers from around the world. So those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, of course, you're getting ready for winter. But we're getting ready for winter. Sorry, for summer. And so soup sounds like a winter food, but I love gazpacho. Gazpacho is a cold food. It originated in the southern part of Spain, and it really came from the Roman Empire. The Romans would bring olives and crusty bread and other things, and they kind of make a soup of it, a cold soup. And that is what we think is the inspiration for gazpacho. My wife and I were traveling to Key West before we were married, and we went to a French restaurant. It wasn't a vegetarian restaurant, but they had lots of vegan options. And we had, at that point, the best gazpacho soup we've ever had. And it was so good we went back for a second meal there just for their gazpacho. And several years ago, when my daughter was a couple of years old, for Father's Day, I decided to play with watermelon, and I used another watermelon gazpacho recipe as an inspiration. I came up with watermelon gazpacho, and it's very tasty. It's very easy. And that's what I'm going to be demonstrating this weekend. It's going to have watermelon, and kind of as an opposite to watermelon, we'll have a little bit of garlic and onion and a little jalapeno, which you don't usually think about in terms of watermelon. So that's what I'm going to be making. Let's see. Angelita, what are you going to be making this weekend?
This weekend, I'm going to be making Mexican street corn salad. Growing up in Texas, we would go to Mexico all the time, and the street vendors would sell corn on the cob, and it was covered in mayonnaise and queso fresco, which is similar to feta cheese, and lime juice. And then it had different crushed peppers on there, the seeds, and some salt. Well, I love that, but I have to figure out how to make it healthy. So I'm going to teach everyone how to roast your corn in your air fryer. And I've revamped the whole recipe. There is a little bit of vegan mayonnaise in there, but I'm going to lay it, I'm going to take it off of the cob, and I'll have the recipe for you guys. And then it's going to be served on thinly sliced purple and green cabbage with purple onions. So it's still the same flavors, but it's a healthy way of enjoying it.
That sounds great. I can't wait to see a recipe. I love corn, and corn tends to get stuck in my teeth. So I use a knife and I remove the kernels, and then I just roast my corn over a flame, and just so tasty. Karen, what's up in your kitchen? And I've started running a stream showing all the things we're making this weekend. So Karen, what are you making?
They all sound so good, so refreshing, and delicious. And all the flavors of that I remember from my childhood, but I know they're healthier. I'm making something very easy and pretty, and it's a melon salad. And mine is also going to have a kick, but I'll also talk about a way to make it not spicy if you're making it for children or people who don't enjoy the spice. Lots of fiber and water, like watermelon's 92% water, cantaloupe and honeydew are 90% water, and they also have electrolytes, which is, helps your body absorb the water better than just drinking a glass of water. So yeah, I'm excited.
You know, one thing I love about being a Food for Life instructor is to be associated with people like you guys. When I don't have an answer to a food question, I know most of the other instructors probably do. And one thing, Karen, that's always impressed me about you is your very deep knowledge of natural foods. You've had it well before becoming an instructor. So I suspect all of us, Angelita and myself, have had a long-running love of properly preparing food. I've been cooking food since I was in college. And I've always enjoyed it. I remember my first experience with cooking is in college. You know, you go to the cafeteria. We didn't have a cafeteria after our first year. We had apartments. And one day when I was living in an apartment, a friend of mine invited me over for dinner, and he made it was a roasted vegetable dish, and it was really good. And I said, I could also invite other people over to my apartment for dinner. And I started doing that occasionally, and then it just compounded from there. So. And I think my love of cooking comes from my mom, who unfortunately has passed away. She used to, wherever she lived, she was an immigrant from India. Wherever she'd lived, she was kind of the center of the Indian community. And she'd invite people for her. She'd have big, big dinners. So we're at our 15 minutes. That was just a little introduction. We have our show, and you can see our shows if you're on Facebook. You can see it on Facebook at So Many Cooks. If you're on YouTube, you can watch our shows live or recorded. All of these platforms, you can watch them recorded. And there's the link for YouTube and then Twitter as well. Right now, it's my own personal Twitter feed. If you come to Twitter, I'm also a math teacher, so you'll see a lot of math in my tweets. And I also review films, so you'll see that as well. But I also tweet about plant-based eating. Karen was talking about her children. So a few of us, myself included, have children who are still fairly young. So three of us, Ella Rodriguez, who's in Providence, Rhode Island, Cody Stubbe, who's in Omaha, Nebraska, and myself have young children. And so they are kids in the kitchen. So Cody has 3 children from ages 4 through 12, and Ella has 2 kids, I think 7 and 10, I think. And then Anu, my daughter, is 12. And so they also have a program. Theirs is every other month, but this month is one of the on months. So the week after us, they're going to be showing off summer foods. And over lunch today, Anu was talking about what she might be making. And she was saying that maybe she'd be making a popsicle or something interesting, a gourmet popsicle. So we're going to try to decide that soon. But with that, Angelita or Karen, did you have any final words to invite people to join us?
Oh, just come have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Just come and learn. Bring your notebook. If you have any questions, ask questions. There's something for everyone.
Our programs are fun. There's an opportunity to ask questions during the program. Right now, we're sitting not in our kitchens, but on Saturday, we'll be in our kitchens. And when Karen's cooking, she won't be able to see your questions, but the others will try to answer on her behalf. And then afterwards, she can answer as well. So those questions come in, and we're happy to answer them. And yeah, thanks, Denise. We can't wait also. We always love our shows. And we will have our recipes to share. We've been collecting them. We're almost done. So in the next day or two, they'll be ready, and we'll publish them just before the show. So you'll have a document. Do you guys remember how long our document was from our anniversary show? It was like 44 pages.
Yeah.
Right? And so these are all available for free. So every month you have a new cookbook, right? So if there's a dozen of us and maybe every third day you make something, then you're covered for the month until our next show. So that's pretty cool. Wouldn't it be neat if we wrote a book though, guys?
Yes, absolutely.
Wouldn't that be neat? I should say gals. I'm from the north, so I say guys. So sorry. So thanks everybody for watching us today for this little preview. Check out the show Saturday. It's going to be dynamic. I know I can vouch for my watermelon gazpacho. It's really tasty, and all the other descriptions we have that have been coming in for the food sound great. So see you guys on Saturday, and take care.
Bye.
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 So many cooks in the kitchen, so many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with with ideas we're happy to share.